I'm Christina Moy, and welcome to the Digipalms podcast. Here we cut through the fluff and dive into the real world of media and marketing, spicing it up with diverse, engaging stories. Each episode brings you actionable insights and practical tips from our own marketing adventures. Whether you're a startup founder, a seasoned marketer, or just a curious listener, there's something here for you. Ready to transform your marketing strategies into success stories? Join us to explore the art and science of media and marketing, learn from our successes and setbacks, and put our expert advice into practice. Don't forget to subscribe and visit thedigipalms.com for more. Let's get started.
So, are you ready to dive into this whole world of luxury price tag? But without the luxury price tag.
Yeah.
We've got some really fascinating articles and research about a company called En route that's really kind of shaking things up in the jewelry industry.
Okay.
And they're offering pieces that are basically identical to what you'd find at Cartier or Tiffany,
Right.
but at a fraction of the cost.
Yeah.
So how are they doing this?
That's the question.
Well, that's what we're here to uncover today.
Yeah. I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah. I think what's really interesting is this whole concept that they're sourcing jewelry from the same, exact same factories as these luxury brands.
Yeah.
We're talking Cartier, Tiffany.
It's wild.
But they're able to offer it at 80% off.
Yeah.
So how is that even possible?
Well, what's really captivating here is that they're not cutting corners on quality.
Right.
We're talking about the same materials, the same craftsmanship, even the same factories that supply those big luxury houses.
Okay, now that's intriguing.
Yeah.
So if it's the same quality, how are they able to sell these pieces at, say, 90% off? What's the secret sauce?
What's the magic?
Yeah.
Yeah. They've essentially hacked the system by eliminating all those traditional layers of markup that inflate luxury prices.
Right.
No fancy boutiques, no celebrity endorsements.
Right.
They're going straight to the source, the artisans and factories themselves.
So it's like cutting out the middleman and passing those savings directly to the customer.
Precisely. And the way they've woven this direct connection into their brand narrative is quite brilliant.
Interesting.
Their dropshipping model, for example, is a core part of their identity.
Dropshipping.
Yeah.
Isn't that usually associated with, less glamorous brands?
Right.
How do they turn that into a positive?
How did they spin that?
Yeah.
They've reframed it as a badge of honor, emphasizing the speed and efficiency of getting jewelry straight from the artisan's workbench to the customer's doorstep.
I see.
They even have a catchy tagline, "Your jewelry doesn't need a layover."
I love that.
Yeah.
It plays perfectly into their whole ethos of transparency and cutting out unnecessary steps. But how did they get these high-end factories on board in the first place?
Yeah, that's a good question.
That couldn't have been easy.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
From what I've gathered, En route's founders had existing relationships with these artisans, having worked in the industry for years.
Okay.
They understood the immense talent and skill within these factories, but also saw how the traditional luxury model often undervalued the artisans themselves.
Yeah, so they kind of knew the industry.
Yeah, they were in it.
And knew how it worked.
They saw the underbelly of it.
And they decided to do something different.
Yeah.
So they saw an opportunity to create a more equitable system that benefited both the creators and the consumers.
Exactly. And their commitment to transparency is a huge part of that.
Right.
They're not hiding their factory connections, they're actually showcasing them.
Now that's interesting.
Yeah.
How are they doing that?
How are they showcasing them?
Yes.
How are they bringing it to life?
Yeah.
I mean, aren't luxury brands usually very secretive about their production processes?
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Very hush-hush.
Behind the curtain.
Yeah.
But En route has flipped the script.
All right.
They're using social media, particularly Instagram and TikTok, to pull back the curtain and show the world exactly where their jewelry comes from.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So they're giving people a behind-the-scenes look
Yeah.
at the craftsmanship,
Yeah.
the artistry, the people behind the pieces.
Yes. They're posting videos of factory tours,
Wow.
interviews with artisans,
Really?
even close-ups of the intricate techniques involved in creating these pieces.
Interesting.
It's like a window into a world that's usually hidden from view.
I can see how that would build trust with customers.
Yeah.
It's like they're saying, hey, we have nothing to hide.
Right.
We're proud of where our jewelry comes
Yeah.
from and the people who make it.
100%.
Yeah.
And it's a brilliant marketing strategy.
Right.
It differentiates them from traditional luxury brands that rely on mystique and exclusivity. And Root is saying luxury is about quality and craftsmanship,
Okay.
not just a fancy name and a hefty price tag.
So they're essentially redefining what luxury means
Yeah.
for a new generation of consumers.
Precisely.
Interesting.
And that's resonating with a lot of people, especially younger audiences who are more discerning and value transparency.
But I imagine the established luxury brands weren't too thrilled about En route spilling their secrets, were they?
You'd think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And there were some initial legal threats.
Wow, really?
Attempts to silence them for revealing these factory connections.
So how did En route handle that?
They were incredibly savvy. They basically called the bluff of these luxury brands, saying, go ahead, sue us.
Wow.
All that will do is confirm that we're using the same factories as you, proving our point.
That's a bold move.
Yeah, it is.
It sounds like they were willing to put everything on the line for their belief in transparency. And it paid off.
And it paid off.
The legal threats pretty much disappeared.
Right.
And En route gained even more attention for their fearless approach. It solidified their image as a disruptor, a company willing to challenge the status quo of the luxury industry.
Exactly.
This whole story is fascinating.
I know, right?
So they're sourcing from the same factories, offering the same quality,
Yeah.
but at a fraction of the cost.
Crazy.
They're transparent about their processes, engaging with customers on social media,
Yeah.
and even turning legal threats into marketing wins.
I mean, what's not to love?
Yeah, what's not to love?
It's a really compelling case study. But I think what's most interesting is how this radical transparency has translated into a powerful sense of community among their customers.
Ah, so it's not just about the product itself.
Right.
It's about the values and the connection behind it.
Exactly. People feel like they're part of something bigger, a movement that's challenging the traditional notions of luxury.
Right.
They're not just buying jewelry. They're buying into a story, a philosophy.
That's a powerful concept. And it sounds like it's working incredibly well for them.
It is.
So let's dig a little deeper into how they've cultivated this sense of community.
Okay.
What specific tactics have they used to engage with their customers and build that loyal following?
Well, one of the most effective strategies has been their use of TikTok.
Okay.
Remember those factory tour videos we talked about?
Yeah.
Those went viral on TikTok,
Wow.
generating millions of views and attracting a whole new wave of customers.
TikTok. Really?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have expected a luxury brand, even a disruptor like En route, to be so active on TikTok.
Yeah, you wouldn't think so.
What is it about that platform that's working so well for them?
It's the perfect platform for showcasing their transparency and authenticity.
Okay.
TikTok is all about short, engaging videos, and En route has mastered the art of using this format to tell their story.
All right.
They're giving people a glimpse into the world of high-end jewelry making, but in a way that's fun, accessible, and relatable.
So it's not just about the glitz and glamour.
Right.
It's about the human element, the craft,
Yeah.
the passion that goes into creating these pieces.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And TikTok allows them to connect with a younger, more diverse audience who might not be familiar with traditional luxury brands.
I'm starting to see how they've managed to turn what could have been a weakness,
Yeah.
being associated with dropshipping,
Right.
into a strength, the core part of their brand identity.
Exactly.
It's all about reframing the narrative
Yeah.
and using the right platform to tell their story.
Absolutely. And they've been incredibly smart about leveraging the unique features of each platform.
Right.
Instagram is their visual playground
Okay.
where they showcase beautiful product shots and behind the scenes glimpses into the factories. TikTok is where they bring their brand personality to life
Okay.
through fun, educational, and often humorous videos.
It sounds like they've cracked the code of social media marketing.
It seems like it.
But it's not just about creating eye-catching content. It's about building a genuine connection with their audience.
That's what sets them apart. They're
Right.
not just broadcasting, they're engaging.
Right.
They're responding to comments, answering questions, and even incorporating customer feedback into their designs.
Now that's impressive.
Yeah,
It sounds like they've created a real sense of community around their brand.
they have.
Yeah.
And it's paying off.
Right.
Their customers are not just buyers, they're advocates.
Okay.
Spreading the word about En Route and their mission.
It's amazing how one company can come in and disrupt an entire industry by simply being transparent and authentic.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder,
It does.
what other industries could benefit from this kind of approach?
That's a great question.
Right.
I think there's a lot of potential for this kind of radical transparency to shake things up in other sectors, especially those that have traditionally been shrouded in secrecy.
Right.
But let's save that conversation for later.
Okay.
For now, let's continue exploring how En Route has turned this transparency into tangible success.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah. So, we've been talking a lot about their marketing.
Yeah.
But I think one of the most impressive things about En Route is how they've actually baked this transparency into their entire business model. It's not just a marketing tactic.
Yeah.
It's a core value that permeates everything they do.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
So how does that manifest beyond social media?
Yeah.
Give me some specifics.
Well, take their design your own portal, for example. This is where they really empower customers to become co-creators.
Okay, tell me more about this design your own feature.
Yeah.
How does it work?
Essentially, it allows customers to work directly with the artisans to create bespoke pieces.
Wow.
They can choose from a variety of base designs,
Okay.
then customize everything from the metal type and stones to the intricate details and engravings.
Wow, so it's like having a personal jeweler at your fingertips.
Exactly.
Okay.
And because they've cut out all those traditional markups and middlemen,
Right.
they can offer this level of customization at a price that's significantly lower than what you'd find at a traditional high-end jeweler.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
It really democratizes luxury, making it accessible to people who might have never considered having a custom piece made before.
It does.
Yeah.
And it also speaks to their commitment to building a direct relationship with their customers.
Right.
They're not just selling products.
Yeah.
They're fostering a collaborative design process, inviting their customers into the creative journey. That's so smart.
Yeah.
It creates a much deeper connection between the customer and the piece itself. It's not just something you bought.
Right.
It's something you helped create.
Exactly. And it taps into that growing desire for personalization and unique experiences
Yeah.
that we're seeing across all sorts of industries.
You mentioned earlier that En Route has expanded beyond jewelry.
Oh, yeah.
What other areas have they ventured into?
They've recently launched a line of luxury watches,
Really?
applying the same principles of transparency,
Okay.
direct to consumer, and cutting out the markup.
Okay.
They're sourcing these watches from the same factories that produce for some of the biggest names in the industry.
That's ambitious. So they're taking on the likes of Rolex and Patek Philippe.
Yeah.
How are they differentiating themselves in such a crowded market?
Well, for when they're offering a level of transparency that's unheard of in the watch world.
Okay.
They're open about where their watches are made, who makes them.
And the level of craftsmanship involved.
Interesting.
And just like with their jewelry,
Yeah.
they're using social media to give customers a behind-the-scenes look at the watchmaking process.
I bet that's fascinating to watch.
It is.
It's not every day you get to see the inner workings of a high-end watch.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And they've been clever about partnering with renowned watchmakers and designers
Yeah.
to create unique, exclusive pieces that you won't find anywhere else.
Okay.
They're bringing back that element of exclusivity, but in a way that feels more authentic and less about artificial scarcity.
So it's about offering something special.
Yeah.
Something that reflects the customer's individual style without the inflated price tag.
Precisely.
Okay.
And it seems to be resonating with watch enthusiasts.
Yeah.
They've generated a lot of buzz within the watch community,
Right.
attracting both seasoned collectors and those who are new to the world of luxury timepieces.
I'm curious about the quality control aspect. With dropshipping, especially across international borders, how do they ensure that every piece meets their standards?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
From what I've read, they've established rigorous quality control processes
Okay.
at every stage of production. They have dedicated teams who inspect each piece before it's shipped out.
Right.
And they offer a generous return policy if a customer isn't satisfied.
So they're really putting their money where their mouth is, backing up their claims of quality with action.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they're constantly gathering feedback from customers, using it to refine their processes and improve the overall experience.
Yeah.
It's a continuous cycle of improvement driven by transparency and a commitment to excellence.
It's amazing how they've managed to turn what were traditionally seen as weaknesses,
Right.
dropshipping, factory partnerships,
Right.
into strengths.
Yeah.
They've flipped the script, making them core parts of their brand identity and story.
And it all boils down to trust. They've earned the trust of their customers by being open, honest, and accountable.
Right.
And that trust is their most valuable asset.
It's a powerful reminder that in today's world, authenticity and genuine connection can be far more valuable than a hefty price tag.
Yeah.
They're not just selling products.
Right.
They're building a movement.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
It's a movement towards greater transparency,
So,
more ethical production practices, and a more equitable distribution of value within the luxury industry.
I'm starting to see how En route fits into the bigger picture. How they're part of a larger shift in consumer behavior.
I agree. I think they're tapping into a growing desire among consumers, especially younger generations, to align their purchases with their values.
Right.
They want to support companies that are doing things the right way, companies that are transparent about their practices, and committed to making a positive impact.
It's like they're voting with their wallets, choosing to invest in brands that reflect their own ethics and beliefs.
Exactly. And that's a powerful force for change.
But I imagine it's not always easy to be so transparent,
Yeah.
especially when you're working with global supply chains and complex production processes.
Right.
How have they managed to overcome those challenges?
It certainly requires a lot of effort and dedication.
Yeah.
They've invested heavily in building strong relationships with their suppliers, ensuring that everyone involved in the production process shares their values and commitment to ethical practices.
So it's not just about finding the cheapest labor or cutting corners.
Right.
It's about building a network of partners who are aligned with their mission.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And they've been very intentional about creating a culture of transparency and accountability throughout their entire supply chain.
Right.
They're constantly monitoring their factories, conducting audits, and working to improve conditions for workers.
It's inspiring to see a company taking such a proactive approach to ethical sourcing.
Yeah.
It sets a great example for other businesses to follow.
I agree. It shows that it's possible to be both profitable and ethical, to create beautiful products while also making a positive impact on the world.
It's a reminder that business can be a force for good.
Right.
That we can use our resources and influence to make a difference.
And it all starts with being honest,
Yeah.
being transparent, and building trust with your customers.
It's about being the change you want to see in the world.
Beautifully said.
Speaking of change, you mentioned earlier that En route has been involved in some philanthropic initiatives.
Oh, yeah.
Can you tell me more about that?
Absolutely.
Right.
They've partnered with several nonprofit organizations,
Okay.
creating limited edition pieces where a portion of the proceeds goes directly to supporting various causes like environmental conservation and social justice initiatives.
So they're using their platform to give back to the community and support causes they believe in.
Exactly. And they're very transparent about these partnerships,
Okay.
sharing details about the organizations they're supporting and how the funds will be used.
That's a great way to engage their customers and create a deeper sense of purpose around their brand.
It is.
Yeah.
And it shows that they're not just about making a profit.
Right.
They're about making a difference.
They're walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
Exactly.
It's inspiring to see a company that's so committed to its values.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's really quite impressive.
It's amazing how En route has managed to weave their values into every facet of their business.
Right.
From their sourcing practices to their marketing to their philanthropic endeavors.
It really speaks to the power of authenticity and purpose-driven business.
They've shown that you don't have to choose between profits and principles,
Right.
that you can build a successful company while also making a positive impact.
Yeah, you don't have to sacrifice one for the other.
Yeah.
You can do both.
And it seems to be resonating with consumers.
Yeah, it is.
They're attracting a loyal following who are drawn to their transparency, their ethics, and their commitment to doing things differently.
Yeah, I think it's a really powerful example of how businesses can succeed by really aligning themselves with the values of their customers.
Right.
And really, walking the walk,
Yeah.
not just talking the talk.
It makes you wonder if this is just the beginning.
Yeah.
If we're witnessing a larger shift in consumer behavior.
I think we are.
Yeah.
Consumers, particularly younger generations, are becoming more discerning
Right.
and demanding greater transparency from the brands they support.
Yeah, it's not enough to just have a good product anymore.
Right.
You have to have a good story.
Exactly.
You have to stand for something.
Yeah, they're not just buying products anymore. They're buying into a story, a set of values, a way of life.
Yeah.
So en route's success could be a sign of things to come,
Yeah.
a glimpse into the future of luxury and consumerism as a whole.
It's certainly a compelling case study.
And it raises some interesting questions about the future of other industries as well.
I was just thinking that. Could this kind of radical transparency work in other sectors? What about fashion, for example, or food, or even healthcare?
Those are good ones.
Yeah.
I mean, fashion has had some of its own sort of transparency movements and efforts.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, imagine knowing exactly where your clothes were made, who made them, and under what conditions.
Or being able to trace your food back to the farm, seeing how the animals were raised and how the crops were grown.
That would be amazing,
Yeah.
for sure.
Or having complete transparency into the costs and procedures involved in your medical care.
That would certainly be interesting.
It would certainly empower consumers to make more informed choices.
And it would force businesses to be more accountable for their practices.
It wouldn't be easy to implement,
No?
but the potential benefits are enormous.
For sure.
It would require a fundamental shift in mindset,
I think so.
a willingness to embrace openness and collaboration.
Yeah, a really different way of thinking about business.
But En route has shown us that it's possible.
They have. They're leading the way.
They've proven that transparency can be a powerful tool for building trust, creating value, and driving positive change.
For sure.
So as we kind of wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
what are some of the key takeaways you want our listeners to remember?
I think the biggest takeaway is that authenticity matters.
Yeah.
Consumers are increasingly looking for brands that are genuine, transparent,
Right.
and purpose-driven.
Yeah. They want brands that reflect their own values,
Exactly.
and that companies that embrace these values are likely to thrive in the long run.
For sure.
En route has shown us that it's possible to disrupt an industry
Yeah.
by simply being honest, ethical, and connected to your customers.
Yeah, they've really flipped the script on the traditional luxury model.
They've turned transparency into their biggest competitive advantage.
Yeah, I love that. It's so true.
And they've proven that luxury doesn't have to be defined by a price tag, but by quality, craftsmanship, and a commitment to doing things the right way.
Yeah, it's a whole new definition of luxury.
It's a powerful message, and I hope it inspires our listeners to think differently about the brands they support and the choices they make.
It's really about aligning your spending with your values.
Yeah, because ultimately, we have the power to shape the future of business and consumerism with our wallets and our voices.
100%.
So let's choose wisely and support companies that are making a positive impact on the world.
Couldn't agree more.
And let's continue to demand greater transparency and accountability from all businesses,
I think that's a great call to action.
because together we can create a more ethical,
Yeah.
sustainable, and equitable future for everyone.
That's a vision worth striving for.
Absolutely. And En route has shown us that it's within reach.
They're paving the way.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating world of En route.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been an eye-opening exploration,
Yeah.
and I hope it's given you some food for thought.
Until next time, keep diving deep.
Yeah.
Keep questioning and keep pushing for a better world.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Thanks.
All right, thanks for joining us, everybody.
See ya.
I am Christina Moy, and thank you for tuning into the DigiPalms podcast. Don't leave just yet. Subscribe to our community and never miss out on our cutting edge discussions. See you next time.